everyone. Welcome to this episode of Mismatch. We are continuing our holiday wrap as we recap some of my favorite OMG moments on the show so far. And that includes the spicy ones, the messy ones, and the moments where everybody was listening and or watching saying, same. So we're going to recap some Hollywood level love stories to navigating the Toronto dating trenches. Because these guests are going to really weave in, all the advice that we've learned thus far on Mismatched. From timelines to intuition to love bombing and why sometimes soulmates show up in the wrong gift wrap. Just saying. We're going to hear from Nick Viall. We're going to hear from Andrea Lo. We're going to hear from our psychic matchmaker, Deborah Graham, and more. Take a listen.
It's easy to sit that back and reflect. What would you have done differently? What would you regret? That's not very useful other than obviously it's good for some stories and things like that. But I've always been someone who's more rather than dwelling on the past and thinking about what I would have, what I regret, I just more try to learn from it and apply it going forward because situations that you're in usually repeat itself. And not while each situation you're in is unique, but the feelings that we invoke from various situations and when we feel triggered, those are, good feelings to remember how you felt in those emotions so that you can handle those feelings better going forward, especially in relationship situations, especially situations where you didn't speak up, but you wish you would have. And then you kind of are like, oh, why didn't I say something and things like that. There's no point in beating yourself up about why you didn't do something in the past, but just try to remember going forward and try to learn. I mean, so I attribute most of whatever success I've had since the Bachelor franchise is just my ability to learn from, things I would have done differently rather than dwell on them. Not as a regret, but just more I probably could just improve or handle things differently, and just play the long game, just know that you don't live and die by any moment, a bad day is usually followed by a good day. And yeah,
there's a shift where it's I feel like men, as women have been upgrading themselves throughout time, men, it's stagnant. It's
Yes.
What happened?
Yeah.
And it's not just about
happened?
it's not just about your career. Because
Yeah.
sure, I can check off they're professional, as in they make
self-care and all of
make
that.
money. But
Yeah.
it's what happened? The level of care that women put into looking good, our hair and our makeup. We don't leave the house until we look a certain way.
Oh, you best believe.
Right?
This face doesn't, if I'm walking outside without makeup, I've got a baseball hat and glasses where I'm incognito.
Even if you're going to the grocery store or the convenience store.
And especially if you're single, because you're always
you don't know where you're going to find them.
Exactly. You're putting your best foot
getting
forward.
avocado and it could be a hunk. You don't know. But regardless, women are taking care of themselves. It doesn't matter what the reason. We're always going to be put together for the most part. And then men, it's they let themselves go more. So there is a stark difference between the sort of quality. And I will say in general, so I do hear it's people who don't need help, obviously they're not coming to the events, right? They'll be doing well on dating apps or just in general, they don't need to come to the events. But then what does that make it of women who come? It doesn't mean that they're crappy quality or not.
Right.
But there is what's been trending hot topic is that there is a larger number of, I call them boss babes, independent, got their shit together, what you said. Women, there's a lot of us compared to the men on that same level.
Interesting.
So we're outnumbering, the women are outnumbering the single men that are of that same sort of caliber.
Right.
And the ones, and if you think about it, if there is a guy who's attractive, shit together, career, that song 6'5" Trust,
Yeah.
Not that that's
6'5",
the only
blue eyes.
Not that's the only ideal guy, because that's actually a joke. But those women are outnumbering men in staggering numbers. Yeah. So they can't just rely on the apps.
Well, that's why the pool feels a lot smaller, probably.
And if the guy is that attractive, you don't think he's going to be snatched up by women?
Yeah. And or you think something else is wrong as to why he's not snatched up. To
be honest, some of these men, it's almost as if they know they're the
it's
shit.
A game.
Some of them have the second, third, girlfriend on the side, mistress situationships because they feel like they can afford to do so for some of these guys. So they're like, I don't need to have one, or why settle down? Because I know that women will want me.
So it's like we need to get, like we said, like these nerdy dudes to like just like get a better suit, and then they would join the other, you know, the other caliber.
To be honest, why do you think
Sorry,
I have
guys,
coaching services
you know,
that are styling and photo shoots?
So that matters. I know
Yes.
that sounds so superficial, and everyone's it's about what's on the inside, and I don't disagree with that. I really do believe that, but like attraction is important.
I believe that everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that we're here for a reason, but the problem is most people just do not pay attention to the signs, and that's where I like to tap into their energy and teach them how to become more connected.
So that's what I'll go to next. Is I feel like now more than ever, I am dating someone, but a lot of my friends, half of them are married with kids, and half of them are single and looking to find their person. And it's like, what's the answer? Dating these days is so hard, and what you're saying is what I agree with. Is like people are not looking inwards, and do you think that that's the problem? Like, what are we missing right now? That's why is it so hard?
It's so easy to swipe left and swipe right, and I think that there's just so many choices out there. So it's kind of like candy frickin' land for everybody, and it's so easy because, you know, back in the day when I was younger, it wasn't like, you know, there was internet available to go out there and go date people on the web. It was like you meet somebody through somebody, or you know somebody, or you meet them in school, or you meet them at college. Just like the traditional ways are OVER. So I'm trying to help people get back to that normalcy, if whatever that is. And I'm not boohooing the apps, but we're so connected that we're not connected, you know, and that's why I made the book, you know, Get Your Head Out of Your App. Oh yeah.
I love
Deborah
that.
Graham's Psychic's Guide to Attracting and Keeping That Love. But also at the same extent, we're so connected that we're so disconnected. And I think that if something doesn't work out within a few days with somebody, they just think, ooh, we're impulsive. We're going to go right back online.
Right.
And, you know,
and so
people
that's
are
a
just
no-no.
like, no. I feel like your heart needs to heal. It's kind of like a scab. I know it sounds gross, but if you get cut, you need to give time for that to heal in order to step back into your power and step back into that movement and grow and having a healthy relationship. And, you know, love is out there. It's just knowing if that person is connected to you the way that you want to be connected to. And you have to be patient.
So what
That's
are the
really
kinds of
what it's
questions that like you should be asking then on dates to try and find, you know, kind of weave out the good and the bad of like where you align with? Like, what should you be asking? Because it's definitely not what's your favorite pizza.
Well, you know what? I always say that when you go out, always have direct eye contact. Never sit next to them. Sit directly in front, because I feel like the window to your soul is always through your eyes. And if that person is not looking at you and they're turning left or right, that means they're just not so into you. Okay. Second of all, I believe that you should not have a cell phone right there readily in front of you. So
Like
you're
it
not
shouldn't be on the
constantly-
table. Put it away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Do you take your cell phone because you don't know if that's a psychopath? So you want to know that there's an exit to get the heck out of there. Hell yeah. But at the end of the day, ask them as many questions as you can. Give out very few and far between questions about yourself. So if they ask you, what do you want? What are you looking for in a relationship? Say, look, I'm open to all of the above. I'm just looking to connect with somebody and be ready and open. But don't tell them what you want, because then that person will try to be who you want them to be. And that's how most people get
Like
screwed, lewd, and tattooed. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So ask them, you know, what is your favorite color? What do you like doing? You know, and try to go out on 3 dates within 3 weeks and stay monogamous for 3 months. That means you could hug, you could touch, you could kiss, but don't put the lizard in the lily pad or do the deed for at least 3 months, because that is when you know that you're having a real psychic connection with somebody and it is a true partnership. Now, of course, if you're wanting to be a serial dater and you're just looking for what I call the wham bam, thank you, ma'am, that's not going to work, obviously. But if you're really looking for that true aha connection and being able to connect with somebody on a deep spiritual level, follow that rule of 3. You know, it does make a difference, because it's like a chocolate cake. If you just eat it, it's not so indulging and exciting. But if you have to really wait and be like, I want that cake and it looks really good. But if you're patient with it, that cake is going to taste so much better. And if that person's really into you, they're going to wait the 3 months, you know, and really just be open. And the most important thing is be present. Don't talk so much about your ex and what happened and how that person screwed you, hurt you, lied you, abused you, and just like everybody else sucks. And, you know, that's the biggest thing where I call a red flag is when somebody complains so much about everybody and this wasn't right and this person hurt me and this one. That is a narcissist, okay? FYI, just putting it out there. Yeah, absolutely. So when you put that energy out there so much and you're saying this happened, well, what the hell did you do to attract it? What kind of energy did you have? Did you have the freaking loser magnet on your forehead? What was that energy that was coming in? So you really want to work to release that and just ask as many questions and don't put so much negativity.
So one of my favorite things thus far on Mismatched has definitely been having men in the hot seat, because it's been really interesting. And honestly, I feel very honored that every man who has sat down on our couch here has felt that they can be vulnerable and really share their truth. And so I want to recap some of my faves, including Brad Smith for opening up, Ricky Liordi, and of course, Michael Hyatt. Take a listen.
I was looking at the world from the world back at me and not out at the world. That was the ego that I had created from The Bachelor, that so many people were putting, tags and connotations and labels on you, and I was accepting them because, how many times I've been out and people are like, oh my God, you're so funny. Why aren't you like this on TV? And you're like,
yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks, I'm gonna go cry in the corner. I'll just go fuck myself. No. So it really changed when I started focusing on like getting rid of the old past baggage that I had, but more so one sentence that was said to me, which was, don't be TV Brad, just be Brad, because I don't like this voice. I don't know why, because I've gotten used to talking like this, like that's, and because you even see the disposition changes. Totally. Like that character became comfortable.
It's like you can turn it on, but this is the real version I think everybody loves.
Yeah. Some people not so much.
Yeah.
But no, even that, and I'm lucky that I've been afforded a great life with the jobs that I've had, and I've been smart about it. So it's been really like a discovery. It's been a real discovery phase for the last little bit. But I mean that in the best way.
You mean it genuinely, I know.
Best way possible. Getting closure on things and realizing how important that is, not just in relationships, with friendships and family, and speaking your mind, and not, I hate this fucking word, but speaking your truth.
Yeah.
But I hate when people say that, because they're like, there is no truth. There's more true than less, or less. Sorry. You're trying to be more true than less true.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, okay, this is how I want to be received for me as a person. These are the friends that I want around me because they understand that. But also too, like, being in a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week relationship, there very few people get to see the full version of you except for people like that.
Yeah.
And that was a very eye-opening experience for me, to be that kind of vulnerable in a relationship. And I've had it, 2 or 3 times. But, your friends never get to see that. Your family never gets to see that. Like, you are your best version of yourself to those people. And when I got out of this last one and was just kind of sitting there for a while, I was like, okay, like, what's important to me? Like, I don't think I'd ever ask myself that, because it was always, okay, this is the next job. This is the career. You've been lucky enough to be able to kind of non-linearly move through life. Like, if you look at my resume, it reads ADD. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, oh, you did a tech startup? Yeah, how'd it work out? Not great, but tried it. Like, I just like swinging for the fences at anything that I do.
I love that. I think that takes balls to do that.
Or stupidity.
A lot of people will, but a lot of people will think things up and, say, oh, I'd love to do this, or one day I'll do that. And they don't actually do it. At least you can say that you've tried,
Yeah, but
that's huge.
I will say the one thing that I realized over the last year was that I completely lost what made me so successful earlier, which was competitiveness. Because I don't compete against anybody else.
But yourself.
I never want to put.
I'm like that too.
I never want to serve a hot piece of shit on a plate. Mm-hmm. Like, I am always trying every week to get, like, with this radio gig, I was like, listen to the guy who was testing me out. I said, my first week will be pretty terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. But I promise you, every single week, like, I'm going to come in and get markedly better. And he's like, well, don't force that on you. I was like, no, I have to.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have that, when I left football and I wasn't competing every day, making sure that I get a paycheck against guys who were better than me, when I slowly lost that on TV because everyone goes, you're good, we don't need a second take. It's like, no, tell me what's wrong. I want to do it better.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, Brad, it's great. You're like, no, it's not great. How can you,
Yeah.
when I lost that, I realized, I was like, oh shit, that was the big problem. Like, you need to compete. And it took me being alone to realize, okay, well, now you're only competing for yourself. You don't have to focus on anybody else. And like, I mean this, like, I don't know if you saw me, but like when I was single, I called my ex and I was like, why did you let me get this size? I was overweight. I was I just was like a shell of myself.
You kind of lost yourself.
And I put my head down, 90 days, lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
It was all in my goont. It was right there. Because no one would know, because I never carried it in my face. Lost the weight, then worked on my mental health. And then now it just feels like you said, it feels like now that you're doing these things, you're actually aligning with wherever the energy's going in your life versus sitting in and waiting.
Yeah. I love that.
And yeah, I was almost emotional there. I'm just kind of excited now moving forward, because it just feels like this is the right path to be on. And I'm getting that, like, not the fire, but like I want to go out and fucking kill the world.
Yeah.
Like,
The mojo is back.
yeah. The mojo.
Yeah. The mojo.
I lost it, but now it's back. I've got it.
What's the work that you've done on you to kind of like get to this sort of like mental strength and assertiveness of like knowing who you are? Because I think that's probably one of the hardest things, I'd say. And what I feel like I've learned closer, like in my 30s, is really understanding like who I am.
I think one of the biggest things in understanding who you are is real reflection, self-reflection, like looking.
You do therapy?
Oh, fucking right. I've been in therapy since 2017.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I don't know if I told you this. I suffered from depression in 2017, 2018.
No, I did.
Really
I didn't
bad.
know
Yeah.
that.
So
What happened?
I remember, and I explain this all the time, and I use this metaphor. Picture your life is held up by these pillars, right? And this is your life. You got your friends, your family, your hobbies, your career, your personal life, and all these pillars. When one pillar falls, your life is still good because it's held up by these other pillars. When another one falls, okay, well, your life starts to teeter-totter. When they all start crumbling down or they're not strong, like your life is nothing.
Right.
So I remember it was probably 2017, my relationship with my friends weren't at its best. I was in a point in my career where I just feel like I wasn't moving forward. I was fighting with my ex, and my relationship wasn't strong. I wasn't in the gym as much. I was drinking too much. And I remember one night I was hungover. I was going to work, and I remember exactly where I was. And it just came over me like a ton of bricks. Nothing even happened. I was just driving at Cawthron Lakeshore in Mississauga, and it just came over me. I pulled over to the side of the road, and I just started fucking bawling. Like bawling. And I had no idea like even talking about it still gives me chills to this day. And this is almost a decade ago now. It was just, I've never felt anything like that. It just felt like someone put a fucking heavy blanket over my shoulders and I just couldn't even lift. So I called my mom, and Mom, I fucking love you to death. I called her, and instantly she was like, no, we're going to get you help. We're going to do this together. I don't know what you're feeling, but I'm going to help you. We're going to find you someone to talk to. So that day I went to therapy, and I think I just word vomited on this therapist for an hour. I don't think she even said a word. I think I just fucking gave her all my problems, and I didn't feel, but I felt a little bit better, and I didn't feel. Then the next day I went to the next day I went to a different one, a guy, and I didn't feel. Then the Sunday, because it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I went to who is now my current therapist, and I've been with her since 2017.
Wow.
And for 3 years I went every single week, and then I started going every other week, and then I started going once a month. Now I go once a quarter. And I've always said this, therapy doesn't solve your problems. Therapy asks you the questions to make you see your problems in a different light. It's like you're looking at your life from a different perspective and thinking about, okay, everyone's easy to give advice to their friends, but it's easy to take advice from yourself. When you start looking at it from your friend's perspective, or someone else is a trained professional in this case, from their perspective, you start thinking about things differently.
For sure.
So I was never suicidal or, never in a place where I was thinking about ending it. There were times where I wish I didn't wake up in the morning, and I credit therapy to helping me get back to who I am and this person we see now. Because, even now that I'm in the best place ever, I go once a quarter just for check-ins. We get our teeth checked every 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
We go to chiropractic. We stretch before workouts, even when nothing hurts. We do all these things, but we don't treat our brain and our mind like we would treat another muscle or another part of our body. Why not? We get haircuts even if the hair looks good. We get our bones cracked by chiropractors, even when nothing really hurts, just because, fuck, it's free. Right? We got benefits. Let's go in December, right?
Yeah.
Well, why don't we do the same with therapy?
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for 8 or 9 years now. And then honestly, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of deep conversations with yourself and being honest and open with yourself. Because, we all want to love ourselves, but it's like, okay, well, do you really want to love yourself so much where you'll look in the mirror and find your flaws and figure out how to work on them and how to be better. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was at my worst, I quit drinking for 3 months. I fucking love drinking. I fucking love going out with the boys. Like I love
Yeah.
a good shot of tequila with my friends. But I had to quit because it wasn't good for my mental health. So yeah, to answer your question, if anyone's kind of looking and they don't feel their best, therapy, and there's a lot of real conversations with yourself, whether it's journaling, whether it's voice notes to yourself, writing it down, anything.
Look, the benefit now to having kids late and being out of my companies is that I can just, this morning I got up, before I came here, I got up and it's Blue Jays Day at their school and I sat with them, I did photographs, I played with them this morning. I can take them to school. I turn up to their pizza days.
Aww.
And I hand out pizzas and they go, that's my dad, he's silly, you know, and
Yeah.
they're in kindergarten, they think it's great. And the privilege I have to go to pizza day is what I earned.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Yesterday, my wife said, hey, can you, so-and-so or one of the nannies is going to pick up the kids. I said, no, I'm going to. I drove up, I picked up the kids up, took them to the park. And I'm just like, what a blessing that I have. That I can just, because I wanted to today, I decided to drive up and take them to the park and pick the kids up today just because I wanted to see them earlier. And I wanted, like, that is the blessing of freedom of building your companies early. But having kids late, like there's a biology to this. Like they want me to chase them in the park. It's getting harder.
Yeah,
you know,
for
they're
sure.
fast, you know.
For sure.
And so, you know, the other thing I think I gave them by having kids probably 15, 20 years late is that now the medical technology is exponentially better. So I gave them a huge advantage in life, being born later. At the same time, their dad's older, but I get to be there, so I'm very present. And let me just tell all you viewers, there is one rule to be a great parent, and I fight for that every day. I try, which is being present. Like put your phone down, like being in it, like doing their homework with them, doing their coloring, doing activities. Like my wife is amazing at activity day, boom, like we have our kids not at the TV, doing some activity at the table, and then you got to sit there and build Lego with them and do stuff. Like being present is like the number 1, 2, and 3 thing to being a good parent. And I have to keep bringing myself back into being present as much as I can.
Well, it sounds so simple, but with all the distractions and things that we
It's
have
hard.
going on, it's really hard.
Pick up your phone, pick up the TV. There's a news flash. There's something going on. And being present and listen, they don't care about your job. They don't care about any of that. They just want to know,
Are you going to be there?
are you going to be there
Are
to
you
do my
gonna play with
Lego?
me?
I'm doing this picture. It's a mermaid. How my daughters identify: mermaid, unicorn. That's how they identify. And kind of wish me luck. I'll throw in one more thing, and I should do another podcast after this. But I'm going on a Disney cruise in November, and I am terrified.
That
I'm not
should
sure.
be fun.
I don't know what's going to happen, but we're bringing like suitcases of dresses for the kids.
As they do. They're
and they
going to
have
wear
full
them.
ball gowns. You
For
know the
sure.
ones from the 1700s with a hard bottom? Like we'd seeing a 4-year-old wear that. Anyways.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a girl dad. That's really sweet.
I am an extreme girl dad.
So do you like embrace all the things of, Dad, I want to do your makeup. I want to paint your nails. And we're having a tea party.
Yeah. All of that happens. and a lot of, the worst phase so far is being the Frozen phase, where people will walk by you and mouth sorry because they hear the Let It Go song and they play it until like whoever invented Frozen is like, I think Anna, that character, is a billionaire because like that thing's 20 years old and it's still going hard.
It's so good though.
Yeah.
You can't even deny it as an adult. You're like, I get why they love it so
The
much.
worst is when your kids dress up as those characters and freeze you and you got to freeze and they don't unfreeze you. And like, how long are we going to stand here for? So it's...
I love the commitment. That's important.
Yeah, you got to be all in. And listen, I think that's an important part to a marriage and an important part to having kids. Like the one thing I did is I decided I was going to go all in. Like, and that's a question for everybody. Are you all in?
Did you feel like because you had kids later in life that you were ready to go all in? Like, do you think if this had happened younger, you wouldn't have been?
Yeah, I realized, and I said to my wife as we got married when we had our first kid, and listen, we had a very unconventional life. Like we were together, we were fine, and we had a baby, and we got married a couple of weeks later. And
Oh, I love that.
And our wedding was $150. We went down to the courthouse.
Really?
And I had a baby on my shoulder. We got married at the courthouse. And then we went to a sushi place next door. And I think that was more expensive than the wedding. And then we went to the passport office and got Sophia a passport.
No way.
And that was our wedding. And, you know, it just goes to show that, and I have this great relationship and this great setup, and for $150, and just saying that you don't need, much. And it's funny now I say to her, I said, hey, you want to get married? We're going to be in Hawaii. You want to get married? She's like, no. I'm like, what do you mean? I thought you wanted a wedding. I'm like, no, maybe sometime. But like, I don't know. I can't get her to marry me now, like in a wedding. Like, you wanted to marry me, but now it's like, oh, marry me. It's like, so like, I'm more the romantic now. I'm like, let's have a wedding. We're in Hawaii. And she's like, I don't feel like it. Like,
That's so funny.
But it's really funny now because like, we're just very busy parents and it's great. But the way in which it works really well is that I think instinctively that for a relationship to work, you just have to decide you're all in until you're not. And I say that in a very nice way because it's stop thinking of like love and forever and all these kind of fantasies.
Yeah.
Think about a constitution of saying, but if I'm in today, I'm all in. And it's funny because that all in begets more all in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you're always kind of thinking, well, so for, if your people are watching this thinking, I want this relationship and with the kids and I want it to be perfect. Like, it is so hard to have kids and it's so taxing on a relationship. First off, you're sleep deprived.
Right.
I mean, you're still getting up 3 times a night because they want a purple crayon or they want a kiss or something, it's, whatever. And you're all in on your children. And if they're all the same age, like it's really hard. And, you have to balance that. And it is if you're not all in, like it's not going to happen, right?
Another theme that I'd love to discuss that I think has been a constant on the show has been the theme of time. And this is fitting, it being December, the end of the year, a moment to reflect on all of the time that has passed during this past year. And for me, I think it's been a lot of growth. 2024 was chasing for me. 2025 was kind of settling in and waiting and kind of letting things come to me. And my intention for 2026 is to hopefully, as I was sitting and these things were coming, that now it's coming, 2026 will be the year of fruition. And speaking about timing in relationships, timing matters. It's so interesting because you could meet someone at the wrong time. You could meet someone at the right time. And it changed your entire destiny. And the concept is that, for me, is so fascinating. Like, have you ever met someone and thought, oh, it's just not good timing? Or maybe it is good timing. Maybe I should ignore the fact that, right now I said I don't want a relationship and this person has come into my life. It's like, what's the right thing to do? The concept of time is quite difficult to comprehend. And it being December, I also find that there are a very high number of breakups. I don't know if you've noticed, it's like before the holidays, people break up and also people fall in love. I mean, arguably the best rom-coms of all time are holiday movies, legitimately. From Love Actually to The Holiday, 2 of my absolute all-time favorites. It really can be a time of falling in love and or breaking up. And so we're going to hear from a couple people that speak to destiny, that speak to the cosmic stars, because maybe that's why we can't understand time, because it's so much bigger than us. Take a listen.
And someone said to me, because I had talked about my time on breakfast television, which I'd love to get into afterwards if you have time with yours.
For sure.
Again, see, so much in common.
So much in common.
But I wasn't there for very long, a hot minute. And then I turned down a full-time position. And afterwards, this woman was like, I'm surprised to hear that you turned that down. Like, yeah, most people would want that money and security. And I thought it was so presumptuous because I just thought that's such a narrow way of thinking. You have no idea what freelancing actually. And
freelance, I'm going to say, for me, it was significantly more lucrative than it was to have a full-time gig.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I wish I said that to her. I just immediately thought, whoa, that's so presumptuous to think that that's more lucrative than freelancing. Because I think when you're so used to a certain way, you don't see the bounty on the other side of things.
For sure. And I also think people place value on different things, Bridget. Like, for example, like security, the job security, knowing that you are showing up at this time, your day ends at this time, you have someone to report to, you have benefits, all the things. Like that, some people place like a monetary value on having that.
Totally.
Rather than kind of figuring that out for yourself.
100%.
And that's what I'd say is like a pro and a con is like security wise, like you're in charge of your own destiny. And to me, it's a pro because I like to bet on myself rather than other people because I know like my own work ethic that I would work my ass off to like, you know, to make money, to get the job done or whatever I need to be. But also like I'm in a place where I don't have kids right now. I'm only responsible for myself. So the security isn't a thing. Like I feel like I could take that risk, so to speak.
Absolutely.
To build what I needed to, what I have built so that I could make more money, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just think it's really fascinating that there's still certain misconceptions about freelancing, going out of your own this day and age when it's just so popular and it's so common. But yeah, pros and cons to it all. I'm a huge fan of it. I know that we talked about an event recently where you're like, I love it, but I don't know if I'll do this forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's tiring also.
It is.
Like,
Oh my God, it is. Let's not forget about
the grind is like a real thing. Like it is, it's really tiring looking out for yourself all the time. Like you have to plan for your vacations, like when you want to take time off because you're not getting paid when you take time off. Like things like that. Or like you were saying earlier, like social media is a full-time job to post every day. I'm so behind right now and it kills me. But then I don't want to like inundate people with like, look at me and the million things that I've done. Like,
right.
But like all this is nonstop. It's just nonstop thinking about all of it.
Don't you just want to turn it off?
Yeah.
Don't you just want to look at
How
a wall
do you
sometimes?
turn it off? Well, you seem to have it figured out. Like, do you have it figured out? How do you turn off? Or do you create like boundaries for yourself?
So I'm so hard on boundaries these days
Yeah.
because I went through a pretty interesting mental health episode 5 years ago during the pandemic from
really?
being so overwhelmed with it all. Yeah, like the whole idea of, I still subscribe to the idea of you got to put in work to get work as a freelancer for sure. But at what cost? So I was doing too much. You know, I was just putting out too much content, and I was doing a lot of it on my own to stay relevant. And then this was during a time too where we were so uncertain of what was happening the next day during lockdown that I was like, I don't know. Oh my God, am I going to find work tomorrow? Who knows? I'm going to say yes to it all. So it came crashing down on me, and that's when I was like, okay, I really need to get off my phone. My phone was really doing a disservice to my mental health. So
Really?
yeah,
What
I'm
was
really
was
big
there
on
like a
boundaries.
particular moment? Like what was the moment of realizing
This was, gosh, which lockdown was this? It was my least favorite one, Nicole. We had so many. I think it was the second one. And I went back to therapy twice a week because, oh my God, it was just so bad. I couldn't even walk into a room with the lights on with a mirror because it brought back a lot of childhood trauma of being bullied and teased. So this was during anti-Asian hate, George Floyd, and I was addicted to my phone. I was constantly searching for videos and content, and I was watching it all. And my therapist said, you had something called secondary traumatic stress.
Wow.
And it's the stress that you take on from other people's suffing, which makes
Interesting.
sense.
Totally.
So-
and that's all we were seeing at that
All we were
time, right? Which
seeing.
can be super overwhelming. I'm sorry you went through that.
Oh my gosh. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. It was just, we were inundated with it. And now with research, knowing that big tech wants us to be addicted to their platforms, they're constantly feeding us negative news because it's human interest. And then once you're down that rabbit hole, that algorithm gives you more. Like, so it's really out of our
Yeah.
control, but in our control at the same time.
Totally. You need to know when to put your phone down and recognize that. But like you said, it's really hard to do that when you're so caught up in it and it is your job. It's not even like it's like a hobby that you're then being exposed to this, but for your job, you have to be in the know of what's going on. So you're being
That's it.
inundated even more.
You have to be in the know, but I was caught up in the, I have to also be really accessible. And after that, I was like, no, I don't. And I really don't think it's made a massive impact, but I set parameters for myself. So, you know, in your settings, you can set a certain amount of time that you can use the app. And then after a while, you can't. So I changed those settings. I don't let myself go on my phone after dinner. It doesn't matter what time I have dinner.
love that.
And like, sometimes I have dinner at 10, sometimes I have 6. But I'm like, you know what? No, if I need to get in touch with people, I can turn on my computer. So there's just certain boundaries that I put on myself now that's allowed me to separate church and state, who I am,
Yeah.
you know, in work, and then who I need to be in order to keep the engine going in work, outside of work.
It's really easy to kind of be forced into something and give up and just deal with it, because I think a lot of the time we are told, deal with it, suck it up, this is the way it is. And you're not really, I don't think it's preached enough to think outside the box.
I agree. It's not. For me, I always look at the risk of the situation. If I kept on the same path, the worst case scenario was that I would fail out of my program, all the money and time would be lost, and I'd go home and live in my mom's basement. Not good. Not desirable. But if I tried to do something different, the worst case was I would fail, lose all the time and money, and live in my mom's basement. So the worst case was the same either way, and any other outcome was better than not trying a different path. Because even if it was a little better, it was still better. And if it was a lot better, well, I never imagined I would be where I am now. That's for sure.
So when exactly did you figure all this out, and were you diagnosed?
The symptoms started when I was 17. That was the first time I fell asleep in public. As an adult,
Where were you?
I was actually in a classroom and I fell asleep on a microscope, and I ended up with 2 black eyes because the weight of
you poor thing.
it looked like I would be in a fight, and I don't know how to fight anybody. It was I was so embarrassed. And
Oh, you
how do you
poor
even
thing.
explain that happening?
Right.
And I didn't know what was happening. And it wasn't until it took 5 years. So when I was 22, I finally got diagnosed. And get this, the reason I was diagnosed was when I moved to Ottawa, my very first friend, her name was Rebecca Bodner, and she had narcolepsy.
No way.
And we were hanging out. It was so fun. And she kept telling me, Michelle, you have narcolepsy. And I kept saying, Becky, you have narcolepsy. Like,
No way.
It's 1 in 2,000 people. It's just not possible. My first friend has this same rare thing. That's not how math works, right?
That's how the universe works.
Exactly. It was the most beautiful serendipitous thing, because she bet me that I absolutely have narcolepsy, and she said that go get a sleep study. If I'm wrong, I will buy all the snacks for every sleepover for the rest of our lives. Remember, we're 22. That is a lot of snacks.
Yeah, for sure.
And if she was right, then I had to always give credit to Rebecca Bodner for me getting diagnosed with narcolepsy.
And there you have it. Thank
Promise
you,
kept.
Becky. Wow, that's wild. And so they discovered then after the sleep.
I got the sleep study, and it's immediate diagnosis. It's extremely clear from the sleep study if you have narcolepsy or not.
Wow. And so how relieved did you feel once you had an answer to how you were feeling?
That's a good question. I felt 2 very separate ways. I had relief to have an answer, but I also felt crushed. Like, this is a life sentence. There is no cure. And even the treatments, they don't make you even close to normal, whatever that word is worth. So finding out what was wrong was great, but finding out I would have it forever was crushing.
For sure. So how did you take that news then and decide to like move forward in your life?
The first thing I did was have a great big cry about it, because I had actually just bought my first car on an 8-year payment plan, which I do not recommend, by the way. Not a good choice. I was so proud of myself. And the first thing after you get diagnosed, right after saying you have
can't
narcolepsy,
drive.
I'm taking your driver's license. It's the legal obligation of the physician. There's no arguing it. There's no negotiating. It is simply a fact. And so this car that was about 4 months old, in the prime parking spot of the entire apartment building, right out the front doors, I had to stare at that thing every time I took my dog to pee for the rest of the time that I owned it.
That's really tough.
Heartbreaking.
That's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So how did you move past that?
I had to, it was back to that mentality of I can choose to stay here and worry and not take a chance of doing something different. And what will that outcome look like? Or I can try to do something different. I decided to start a business at that point because, hey, if your business fails, unemployed, living in mom's basement. If it succeeds even a little bit, it's a better outcome than not trying at all. And so that mindset of mine of you have to at least try, it's always worth it, even if it fails,
Wow.
came into play.
Wow. And so was it for you, would you say then, like, you got rid of the fear of failure after telling yourself what that fear ultimately would be?
Exactly. It's really taking the power and the emotion out of fear by flipping it around and looking at it logically. Because fear is almost always of failure. So I looked at, well, what is the failure look like?
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, it's the same situation you're in already.
Interesting. So how else did your life kind of change and shift?
I mean, in terms of dating, I had a lot of insecurity at first, right? Like, oh, this is a disability and I'll have it forever. Who is ever going to love me? Who would ever want to deal with that? And how do you even explain it? When do you explain it?
Yeah.
Lots of self-doubt in there.
For sure.
So I was single for quite a while after being diagnosed as I was building my business. And then I was very fortunate. The 2 people I dated after being diagnosed were both already friends of mine.
Oh, wow.
So they knew me already. They'd already seen it. They heard the story. They saw what it was like. And they were able to make the decision that they were on board before anything romantic even started.
Oh,
which was
that's
nice.
good. That is helpful. And I feel like that's like the best introduction to dating because you have that support from friendship 1st,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely. You already know what the person's like and how they treat other people, which I think is a very valuable insight to have.
For sure. And so how has it affected your relationships? I imagine there's like serious scenarios and then maybe some even comical scenarios.
Definitely. I mean, some of the stories that my husband can tell you where one of the symptoms with narcolepsy is your dreams intrude into wakefulness. So if I'm having a dream and I wake up, that dream can actually continue like actually in front of my eyes because my brain is still sleeping when my body is awake.
That's so interesting.
So the best one was once I was dreaming about, I was at a dog park, and as there is at dog parks, there was poop on the ground. And so my husband had come in late to bed, and he woke me up enough that they call them hypnagogic hallucinations, where sleep and wake, hypno, become one. And I started yelling to him. I was like, there's shit everywhere. There's shit everywhere. As he's laying down in the bed, I was like, move. And he jumps up and he's like, where? I'm like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And he's panicked because he has no idea I'm still mostly asleep.
Yeah.
He's literally looking, like tearing our bed apart. But he's like, get out of the bed. And at that point, I wake up for real. And now I'm mad because I'm like, why are you waking me up? He's like, to clean up the poop. And I'm like, who pooped it on your bed? Like, it's just so dramatic.
That's really funny, though. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah. Once the adrenaline calmed down, we both had a very good laugh about it because you have to in those scenarios.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you need to bring levity to those situations or else you can drive yourself crazy too.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think that's actually something that's benefited our relationship as a whole because we have situations like that happen. We've had to face a lot of kind of high emotion situations and get through them together, which is it's good to practice that because no relationship, no life is smooth without bumps.
No, I think everyone, it's a roller coaster. You can love the person, be married for 100 years, and it will still be a roller coaster because life doesn't always go as you plan.
Absolutely
right?
not.
So it throws things at you all the time. So then was your husband one of your friends?
He was.
Okay.
So we met playing flag football.
Oh, that's fun.
And I only ended up playing that because one of my girlfriends, she wanted to find a man. She wanted a sporty guy. And so we were
like, sign up for all the sports.
We're like, what's the manliest sport? I'm 5'2", she's 5'2". Neither of us had touched a football since elementary school when they like make you play the different sports.
Yeah.
And we signed up and somehow I got assigned the role of captain on top of it.
And this is great.
Yeah, this is where my competitive spirit came out. I was reading online, watching YouTube videos, how to flag football.
Wow.
And my team got all the way to the semifinals of the whole season.
So is it co-ed then?
It's co-ed.
Okay.
Yeah. So minimum 2 girls on the field at a time. And because I'm such a good wing woman, we only had 2 girls on our team.
Nice.
You're
a good thinker,
strategy.
Michelle. I appreciate it so much.
It's all about the efficiency of every situation.
Yes.
Yeah. The irony is she did not end up finding her man through that. But in the semifinals, the other team had this one incredible player.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And he was wearing all pink. It bright pink jersey with a matching bright pink shorts and knee-high pink socks.
I love that.
He tells me to this day it's Real Madrid's alternate jersey. But what I will tell you is he looked like the most flaming gay football player I've ever seen.
So
And-
your initial instinct then was like, not that
Not
guy.
that one, yeah. He's not the equation.
Oh, that's funny.
And even so, he was so good that when the game was over, I asked our best player, whose butt had been kicked by this guy, to go recruit him for our team for next year. I figured send over the hot guy to recruit. Well, I now
to try
know
and pick up the gay guy.
Exactly. Brilliant, right?
Brilliant.
Well, turns out I was totally off base because as he now tells this story, Nabil says the guy came over and he looked over his shoulder at our team and was like, oh yeah. He was like, yes, I would like to join.
Yeah. Not a stupid guy.
No, he figured it all out. So that's how we first met, Nabil and I. And we then played the next season of flag football where he was on my team, and we really got along. We both were very business-minded, long-term goals, and he would come over with one of my other friends, and we would work in the coffee shop that was in my building and just have this dedicated working time where we'd each work on our own big projects and give each other advice. And he was so smart. We got along so well. I just thought he was the greatest guy. And then one day when we were both single at the same time, he sent me a text message that said, I'm in California right now for work, but when I get back, I'd really like to take you on a date.
That's really ballsy because that can make or break a friendship for sure.
It
Because
can.
like I mean, I admire that he did that so much because a lot of people wouldn't take the risk in fearing that you would be like, sorry, I don't feel that way about you.
That worst case scenario,
Yeah.
right? Well, he did send his best friend undercover to ask me some incognito questions. So
Okay.
I think he had an inkling it
Okay.
would be a yes. And sure enough, I responded right away. I was like, I would love that. That would be great. And shortly later, he texted back and he said, I kind of wish that you would be able to come here so we could have the date sooner. And me, being the super direct person I am, I replied back and I said, you either want me to come or you don't. So if you do, tell me. And if you don't play games with me.
Yeah.
And I hit send. I was like, ooh, that was probably a bit too harsh. Like,
No,
oh, no.
I love that. No games.
No games. And he liked it too because he replied back and he said, I want you to come to California. Can you come tomorrow?
Stop.
Yeah. So I booked the next flight that was going the next morning. Booked it myself just in case.
Yep.
That way I could come back. If
Yes.
you know,
You
I
have
knew-
the autonomy to leave should it
it.
not go according to plan.
I knew he wasn't a serial killer
Yeah.
since we were friends, but I didn't want to be in an awkward position.
Yeah, for sure.
The more awkward part was calling my mom to ask her to take care of my dog because he wasn't a service dog at this point. It was the previous dog.
Okay.
And so I had to call her and say, hey, I'm going on a trip tomorrow. I just booked it and I need you to babysit my dog. And also, the flight is so soon that I don't have time to drop him off at your house. So can you come get him from mine? She was like, where are you going? I was like, California. Oh, is that where Nabil is? Because I had told her about this super smart guy.
Your mom knew.
She says to this day, from day one that she heard his name, she knew that there was something up, and
That's
she was
sweet.
right. So off I went to California to have that first date.
What did you do on the first date?
He picked me up right from the airport, and immediately I was a bit confused because, like, he gave me a hug, but like one of those turned away hugs,
Yeah.
like a super, like more of a friend than
Yeah.
normal hug. And when we were in the car, I was reaching over kind of to the middle to be able to hold his hand, and he was just gripping that steering wheel. And we got some food quickly, and he sat on the opposite side of the booth, and again, just stayed really back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I could read those text messages right now to make sure, like, I didn't totally misread something because he was so distant. Well, it was because he had this big plan. He took me up to the Golden Gate Bridge, up to the hill that overlooks it all, right when the sun was
Wow.
going down, and then he kissed me for the first time there.
Oh, that's so sweet. So I was
Yeah.
so preoccupied with the plan and
He
getting
was.
that,
He was like looking at
nailing.
the timing, be like, what is the exact time
Yeah.
of sunset? Yeah.
That's really
details.
sweet. Okay, so question, if we can
Yeah.
backtrack for a second, Michelle.
Of course.
How long were you friends before it became romantic?
So we met in August for that very first time when he was on the other team,
Mhm.
and our first date was that next, like within that same year, April.
Okay.
April 14th.
Okay. So that's not that long.
No, about 6 months. And it's not like we were best friends, like,
Yeah.
you know, normal friends.
That's not long at all. And it's okay. So, and then things progressed quickly.
Yeah, now that becomes a really long timeline compared to the rest.
Uh-huh.
So I was there, and he had to go to work during the day. He was there working for Apple at the time, and so I did my work during the day, and then every evening we did something fun, and so another date, and over that, then we had 2 big dates on that weekend, and so it was 5 days of dates in a row,
Okay.
and on those dates, we were super serious. You mentioned earlier, right? It can ruin a friendship. So the only people that knew were each of our best friends and my mom. And we did that intentionally because we said, look, let's just go all in on this. If it works, we're probably going to we're getting married.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, we're telling nobody.
Yeah.
Like, never did this happen.
Yeah.
So we were very serious on all of those dates. We had so much fun and we bonded a lot, but the conversations, we went straight to the core of everything that mattered.
I was very young when I got married.
How old were you when you got married?
Turning 18.
That's so young. Do you feel like the church's influence kind of made you get married young?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, not just the church's influence. Part of it was like escaping my family, and like we had a lot of, let's call it, bad blood. And we were arguing a lot and had a lot of issues, and it was my way to escape.
Yeah.
Was to get married.
Start fresh. It's like start a new chapter.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like for her it was similar. Like it was just our way to kind of to start our own chapter, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, fast forward in the relationship, we were married. Like, we were so involved in the church, but then I had some issues in our relationship and whatnot, and like I said, people started to like say to her like, "Oh, we think he's gay," and da da da, and that obviously created a lot of turmoil in our relationship. And you know, we had our own understandings and whatnot, and people always ask like, "Well, did you love her? Like, was that all a lie?" Of course, I loved her, and we had a relationship, and I appreciate everything she did for me, and I tried to support her the best that I can, and I can truthfully say that there was never any infidelity, because I was so invested, not just in the relationship, but in my beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sexuality was not even a thing that crossed my mind. I'll be very honest that like, I don't want to say naively that I didn't know what sexuality was, but I never talked about it. I never thought about it. I didn't have anyone in my family who was queer at that stage. And then, interestingly enough, I never talked about this, but like, I had a couple of interactions, let's say, at a young age, like 14, 15, that now looking back, I'm like, these were questionable. These other guys were obviously poking the bear, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And but I didn't even like react to it because, again, I was so sheltered. I was like in this box, like, you know, men and women, you don't think outside that box.
Yeah.
Did I ever question like why I like to hang out with more of my female cousins versus my male cousins? I never fit in with the guys. I didn't like sports. I never questioned that. Like, I remember actually as a child, like playing more with my girl cousins and dolls, and my dad would like smack the dolls out of my hands and be like, dolls are not for boys. Like, you have to go play with the balls and stuff like that. Now,
the irony.
That sounds
funny.
Okay. But it was so crazy to now look back and think like that was
indicative of like
and I
how
didn't even realize it. Like, I remember one time putting on a skirt and dancing with my cousins outside to the music and like not even thinking about it, like so innocently, so to speak. And then fast forward when I can't even remember what it was, but I think it was like I was exposed to like gay porn, and I think that was my first trigger where I was like, okay, I think I really am like attracted to men. Mm-hmm. But to be very honest, it's not to say that I was never not attracted to women, because like,
well, two things can be true.
Yeah. And I think that's the idea, that kind of going back to what we were saying, everyone's thoughts are it's either you're gay or you're straight. And it's like, no, there really is an in between. And I mean, I can attest to that. Like, I've heard stories from some of my gay friends that like will say, you know, in their closeted years when they were like dating women, that they would like jerk off in the bathroom before going to have sex with their girlfriend because they couldn't get hard. And I'm like, I never had that issue. Like I was actually attracted to her and to other girls that I had been with before that. And yeah, so it was very confusing to me. I didn't really know. And then
That is confusing when you don't have anyone around you that you see is like that or
100%.
does talk about that. It's very isolating to go through that.
And to not have anyone to turn to be able to understand that, or to have to ask questions, or to be like, hey, I'm feeling this way, or I'm thinking this, or like, what does this mean? What do I do? You know, like there was so much unknown to me, and I didn't have anyone that I can confide in to talk to about it. So, but I admitted that I was feeling some of those things, and like I went to like conversion camp and like
Really
did like all of these support programs that they have to try to.
Did you do that because other people said you should do that?
Because I felt like I was sinning. Because like I said, I was a devoted Christian. Like I really did believe that like we were talking about, like it's very clear in the Bible that homosexuality exists. And that it's like it's positioned as if it's like a sin and a curiosity, and that you shouldn't feed into that curiosity.
But it doesn't mean that it wasn't happening or that it
Exactly.
didn't exist.
Exactly. So I think for me, it was like I was looking for a way to manage it, because I didn't want to be a hypocrite, especially serving in the church, because they are very adamant that like you have to be perfect, you know, to be part of it. Although you then realize that
There's a
none
lot of
them were
imperfect
perfect.
in religion, that's for sure.
Yes.
Can I ask you, like, what happens at conversion camp? It's still wild to me. Like, I know this still exists more in the US probably than here, but it's like wild to me that exists.
Yeah, and it's like an education, like they're essentially like drilling into you that homosexuality is wrong, that, you know, God made man and a woman, and you're intended to have sex and procreate, and like anything outside of that is sinful, and that it's normal for us to have curiosities, but we shouldn't feed into it, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then it's like a lot of prayer and support groups and whatnot, and some of it is beautiful. I won't deny. Like I really did enjoy my time as a Christian, and there's something so magical about feeling so supported. It's just so sad that a lot of it is rooted in negativity and hypocrisy. And I mean, we're not here to talk about religion, but it's an crazy system that really is cult-like, and brainwashing to a certain degree.
In every religion, just across the board. I think a lot of people feel that way. You're not alone in saying that.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, it just reaffirmed just to me that like if I wanted to be a good Christian, that I had to, you know,
abide by those rules.
And I think in tandem, my wife was like, okay, I'm gonna do everything to make sure that I'm like satisfying his needs, so that I don't have to, so he doesn't have to be thinking about these other things.
Yeah.
You know, but then fast forward, things got really toxic. I mean, my career also took off, so I was too busy for church, so to speak. And our relationship got toxic. Like her career took a bad turn. She was unemployed. That created negativity. I always say finances could be the root of a lot of evil.
Not could be. They definitely are. I can definitely relate and understand that. And I think a lot of people in many relationships would say, I think it's like the number 2 reason why people get divorced or break up.
Yeah.
For sure.
And a lot of time it's just the shame that comes with it that doesn't allow you to communicate with your partner. That is where it all stems from, in my opinion. But
Shame around like not bringing enough to the table, or
or the debts that you accumulate as a result, and a mix of the two, right? And not being able to squash it while it's still early, and then it starts to, because the challenge with debt and financial problems is that they snowball so crazily. And a lot of times by the time you think to like raise your hand and try to fix it, it's already out of control. And then at that point, sometimes like the relationship is so damaged by it that there's no turning back. In my situation, I mean, I don't want to harp on it too much because I'm very happy with the fact that we've been able to come to terms with this, where we ended off in our relationship and we are now successfully divorced and have turned that page. And I don't want to continue to bring things up for her as well, because I know it was hard on both of us, but
for sure,
ultimately she was in a tough situation because she lost her job, and I was, like pulling the full slack, but it wasn't like a short period. It was like 6 years on and off, and she couldn't figure out what she wanted to do, and I was the sole responsible person for paying for things, and it got to a point where I was like, okay, I don't want to just be your cash grab forever, and I want to be able to support you so you can stand on your own 2 feet, and then we figure out if this is making sense, and if it's not, then I'm going to go my way and you go yours. And then she kind of turned against me and threatened to tell my family that I was gay and like all this other stuff. And it was like the worst possible time in my family's life, because my mom had just been diagnosed with cancer, and this is the last thing I need is my parents now stressing about my sexuality and blah, blah, blah. So bad time in my life. But fast forward, she did. I was able to come out to my family, and honestly,
so you were kind of like pressured
thankful.
into coming out, but you're saying
100%.
it worked out.
Now looking back, I'm like, if she hadn't, I would have probably dragged my feet a lot longer. And I think that vulnerability and the fact that my parents were at such a weak point maybe allowed them to be more considerate, and just they had bigger fish to fry, so to speak, that they didn't focus so much on my sexuality. They just cared that I was there to help. Well,
I think the number one concern for any human being across the board is like health. Number one comes above all other things. It's like,
and even though like I said earlier, we didn't have a great relationship standing at that point, I definitely realized that like, okay, I need to put everything aside and like help my mom get through this, because none of the bickering matters if she's not here. And I don't want to end on this term, essentially. And so I kind of stepped in, and my dad didn't necessarily agree, but like I was there. And then fast forward, like I was there for my mom. They were so understanding. Like, I'll never forget my mom saying to me, like, you know what? I don't care. I just want you to be happy and live your life. And
that's the best thing a parent could say, I think.
That's all you want.
Yeah.
That's all you want. I mean, I think now looking back, I realize that like that's what every human being craves, is to be loved and to be accepted, to allow you to be who you authentically are.
There's more awareness to this sort of work, I think, now, as opposed to say even like 20 years ago and more. You were saying that the last time that things were kind of in this sense where people were exploring this was like back in the 60s, when there was a lot of activism and, artists were the ones speaking about their right. So why do you think, and like you're saying, next year, what is the timing all of this? What does this mean? And why are we needing this, or why are we exploring this now?
There's some major changes. Okay, so
It's hard to
big
say.
question.
and then-
Yeah.
you might have to
start?
edit some of the stuff I talk about here. Okay, just so FYI, I'm giving you, because I'm going to be blunt here and
I want
explain it
I
to
want
you.
that. I want you to be blunt, but also explain it to someone who has no idea
Okay.
what the heck you are talking about.
Okay, you might end up editing some of this. Okay, because it's not about, it's just the whole subject in
Yeah.
itself is beyond what some people are ready to hear and understand. So I'm going to be really blunt between me and Nicole here. The world is shifting from a third density to a fourth density. We have been in a 75,000 year long year. It has 3 semesters, about 25,000, 26,000 years each. We're in the final semester of this 75,000 year long year. And when it ends, the whole game resets.
Okay.
Okay?
And this happens every
75,000 years, but it's not, and then you've got a period where after it resets, everything's got to settle again, and then it will start up again. But it basically happens on clockwork. And now these 25,000 year periods that come, these are major events that happen in our world, like the Great Flood, like the sinking of Atlantis. This is no small stuff that takes place. This changes everything. We're at the end of the third cycle. So we're at the end of the seventh. This is the big one that's coming. This is it. Now, is this an end? No, there's no such thing as an end. That is fear speaking. There's no such thing as an end, but it is an end of this cycle. Okay? And everybody, no matter what, will be moving forward to one vibration or another to continue their journey. Okay? It's not their life because there's no such thing as death. Okay? When I say continue your journey is with a body, and then it'll be without a body, and then it'll be with a body, and then it'll be without a body. And once you leave this third density, what people will term the third dimension, which is not an accurate term, so you'll think it's a different place, and these dimensions are different places. It's not the way that it is, okay? It's densities or planes of existence because they all literally sit on top of one another. And it's the vibration that you can tune into on which density.
That puts you on whichever
right.
density. Okay.
And it's your vibration. So in our world, we live in a third density world, a 3D world. And yet there are 7 different chakras. Each of them is a different vibration. And the people living in one chakra do not live basically in the same world as people that live in a different chakra. It's the same physical world, but nothing they perceive is the same.
Understood.
Nothing. Okay?
Because they're coming at it from a different perspective.
Right. A root chakra person is going to look at the world in complete fear and everything is danger. A heart chakra living in the heart, they're going to look at it as perfect and everything is beautiful and perfect and it's all one. And a person in the crown chakra who has reached their crown chakra and have been able to open infinite intelligence and the infinite creator is going to see how everything works together. As they're going to see the literal breakdown and how the energy flows and creates reality. So they're all going to see something differently. We're at the end of this period. This has been coming for a long time. Back in the 60s, this is the beginning of what we would have called the harvest. This is the time that we're in now.
So all those years you're saying have been like preparation.
We've been
for
in this energy since the 60s. Okay? But it's like anything else, you get a cancerous growth inside. Well, you don't know until it comes to the surface. And by the time it comes to the surface, you're in trouble.
Right.
Okay? Well, this has been under the surface for a long, long, long time. Now, it tried to come out. A movement came out in the 60s, and the medicine workers left the jungles, and they came out, and we began the medicine revolution, because the medicine, I'm going to be blunt, is the fruit of the tree of good and evil. That's literally what the medicine is. It is the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that they speak of biblically.
Right.
And if you ingest this medicine, You're going to find out the truth. The veil's going to drop.
You are the light.
That you are the whole creator of your reality. So the 3 truths that you will go through on this journey, first is the love and acceptance of yourself. That's the small journey. That's the stuff everybody talks about when they come to say, this is kindergarten, folks. Okay? We're just clearing the slate so that we can bring the light into you and so you can find out how big you are. And it won't come in while you got this shit going on and you're filled with fear. So first you have to love yourself. You have to accept yourself. And it's creating a balance. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you've balanced and you understand the other side of the equation. You don't have to agree with it, but you need to understand it fully on why those people do it that way. To stop the judgment and the prejudice. Okay? The second stage is the love of other self. Well, the truth, it's all one. There is only consciousness. We know this from quantum physics. We've known it for over 100 years. We just won't believe it. Okay? Every guru, every ascended master has come back and told us the same thing, whether it be Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or Muhammad. They've all told us over and over and over again, you are the light. It's all one. They've told us over and over. We build churches for them and then we don't believe it.
And then number 3
is the beginning of everything. It's where we start everything. So this began back in the 60s. When this movement started, the medicines came out, they went through the populace. It's the music and the medicine holder that creates a ceremonial effect. And it's all 3, they're necessary. And the government squashed the movement at this time. Okay, now it came through the art world and the music world because this is where the truth always comes from. It does not come from your history books. Your history books are only written by the winners. The other side has no say. So is this truth? No, it's never actually truth. It's the agenda that you're going to be conditioned to believe. Okay? And we change the history all of the time. So we're banning books throughout North America so that you won't read what horrible people we've been in the past.
Right.
Okay? And that way we can just pretend it didn't happen and forget about it. Okay? So this began back in the 60s. It got squashed. Now it is coming back, and it came out at that time because that was the beginning of the harvest, which is the getting ready for this cultivation of souls, to be honest, to move forward in their progression. Okay? So they can do the next lesson. This is like a school. It's a school of the heart. And it's to learn how to love, learn what freedom is. Now, when I say love, I'm not quoting from the Hallmark cards, Deborah's diamond, possessive love.
Yeah.
This is basically nonsense. If you don't behave the way I want you to behave, I don't love you anymore. See, that's not love. That's manipulation and control. Okay? Love is acceptance without judgment. So love is what we call unconditional love. There's no such thing as unconditional love. There's love and there's no love. Okay? Because if love has a condition, it is not love, is it?
Yeah.
So how could you have unconditional love if you can't have conditional love?
Right.
There's love, acceptance without judgment. I see you, I accept you as you are. Not trying to change you. How many couples do you know where they're trying to change each other? This is not love. Okay? I see you, I accept you completely as you are, your greatness, your foibles, and all of the above. So in the 60s, it came out, we had tremendously poor human rights. If you were a woman, for instance, you had very little rights. If you were of color, you had no rights. This came out to actually battle that. We came out with Martin Luther King. It came out after Rosa Parks. And we did make progress, but it did get squashed and stopped. We didn't solve the problem, but we took it out of the visible world. It was still in the invisible world. The prejudice is still there today. It's just a little more against the law, I guess, which doesn't, by the way, take prejudice away. It just makes it hide under the ground, under masks. I'd rather see who they are personally.
Right.
Now it's come out again because of the harvest. We are in this period where Earth, Mother, is actually growing herself and moving from the third density of vibration to the fourth density of vibration. 2.5 million years ago, Venus was in the third density of vibration. Now it's in the fifth, sixth, 2.5 billion years ago. Sorry, not million. Now it's in the fifth, sixth density of vibration. See, the planets are living conscious beings, and they evolve. And then they're the people, which we are part of this planet, we evolve with her. So we are about to make a transition in the fall of 2026. Now, this was the information given to me by seers. This was also the information that I've received on a number of occasions, but I put it on the shelf until I get confirmation. Looking at what I call the big three channelers out there of Bashar and the Z's and Theo, they all talk about the same thing. Fall of 2026, big events are about to change. Now, a lot don't know what those events are.
That's my next quote. What is it?
Right.
What does it mean?
It means there's a new energy grid coming to the Earth. The Earth is upgrading her energy grid from a third density vibration to a fourth density vibration. Just like if you've ever listened to solfeggio frequencies, okay? Well, right. So a third density vibration is one of the solar plexus. Earth is moving from the solar plexus, which is what we've all been in. It's the thinking, competing. Okay, doing. And we're moving into the fourth density of the heart, which is a very different frequency. This is love and freedom. This is what we're moving from, literally from fear and control.
Wow.
So we are witnessing at this time, our systems that have been fear and control systems are breaking down.
Yes.
And this is
And
also,
not one of them, all of them.
Yeah.
this is why you see so many people all of a sudden searching for something. They don't know what, but they're feeling it.
They're feeling this energy, even though they can't put a finger
I
on it.
was just going to say, because you can't, some people even have a hard time explaining it. Like it's
Yes.
just, again, it's this overwhelming feeling that something isn't right. I feel anxious, or I can't sleep, or, I don't feel like in my body even.
Or a lot of calls we get is like, I went to school for this, I got a good job, but I'm not content.
Yeah,
There's
I don't
all
know
of
why.
these things, right?
Right.
It's just like you've been on a path for so long, and you've done all the good girl or good boy things, and something's not right. You feel it, you know it, but you can't put your finger on it.
Well,
And
this
that's
is
part
what
of
everything happened, because the system that we've created isn't right. And the longer you'll work through the system, the more disillusioned you're going to become, because you're going to find out you can't win this game. And if you win at this game, it's at the cost of others. Okay? And we're at a point where we understand this is broken. The education system is broken. Okay, the medical, our health system in this country is very broken. Our education, our political system is a joke. Our economic system, people do not understand the economic system. You need to understand the World Bank and where money comes from, and that this is a privately owned organization, not a publicly owned. It's not done. These systems aren't created for you. Anyway, it's coming out. Everybody is understanding. They don't understand how it completely works. And this is what separates the work we do, for instance, at Harmony, from what might happen in a therapeutic session. See, we're going to deal with these energies where you're not really going to in that session, because in order to deal with these energies, it's your medicine holder. It's the person that can open these channels and actually bring these energies in. So we deal with them quite often. It is some wild experiences. And we've gotten great guidance and healing and tune-ups and all kinds of things from these beings. There are beings out there that are our cheerleaders, and they are working with us. They will never, however, breach what is called your law of free will. Okay? This has to stay intact. So they will not give you information that will change your opinion about anything. They'll fill in all the details, but they won't give you the answers. Okay, so this comes straight out of Star Trek. Okay, this is the prime. It's the prime directive.
They told it to us all.
Right.
Years ago.
Oh, it's all in there.
You
It's all in
rewatch it,
there.
It's amazing.
But it's basically the prime directive in that you will not interfere with a burgeoning society. Okay, you can't give them more than they're ready for. So we got cheerleaders that are working with us, and everybody's heard of all of these. Well, they are real. There are Andromedans and Arcturians and Lyrans and Pleiadians, and these are all the ones that are literally our cheerleaders. They are the federation of planets. They work for the oneness of it all, and they work towards the light or love, which is acceptance without judgment. And within this group, we are all considered equal. There's different levels of experience, but no one is better than another. It's all equal. There's another group, and it's called the Orion Empire. This is where you hear of energies like the Dracos or the insectoids or some of the Greys and stuff like this. And I don't want you to think of them as bad, because there is no bad.
Yeah.
There is the fly and the frog. You see, the frog eats the fly, and to the fly, the frog is evil.
Right.
But to the frog, the fly is dinner, and if it doesn't eat dinner, it dies.
Right.
So it's called
Perspective.
nature.
Yeah.
Okay? So these two groups, though I am definitely working with the one side, the light, I understand this other side. You need to understand it to create that balance so that you can eliminate the fear. Okay? And they simply see humanity as a consciousness less than them. Okay? And so it is their right to use humanity the same way humanity uses cows and chickens and pigs and dogs.
Right.
So before we get all worked up on this, how dare they? We do it. We're doing it to every creature on this planet that we think is less conscious than us. And we don't seem to have a problem with it at all. Okay, so so we are coming to this, we're in the last 2 minutes of the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl has lasted 75,000 years. And we're in the last 2 minutes of the game now. Okay, that's where we
most
are.
people don't know there's a game on.
No, they're getting popcorn. They're getting popcorn.
Yeah. Popcorn.
But what everybody is sensing is this veil that actually is part of the game. When you come into the third density, you go through the veil and your memory is wiped. You have no memory of what you've lived before this, but you can affect change. Okay, and this is called time-space or space-time. When we go to time-space, okay, where you're not actually, it's not as physical as here. You are just as conscious, okay? Now your memory is restored. The veil is lifted. You know everything from all of your lifetimes, but you can't affect any change. So you have to come into this physical form to affect the changes, but when you come into the physical form, your memory's wiped.
So what do you do?
So your memory comes back. So you've got to learn. You've got to experience.
into-
It's your whole reason for being here is to experience.
Yeah.
It's to learn. It's to live. It isn't to get up every day and go to work for somebody else and blah, 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 and, feed the kids and watch some Kardashians or Monday Night Football and go to bed and then do the same thing tomorrow. It's to live.
What does that mean?
It means follow your passion.
Okay.
See, you gave it to yourself before you got here. It's the one thing you're not going to remember, you'll forget, is your passion. You placed it in you when you got here. And this was to excite you and help you follow your path. That is your path.
All right, everyone. And that about wraps it up. So I'm going to encourage you to raise a toast, whether that be coffee, you'll never know what's in here, as I hold up this mug, or maybe something a little bit stronger, but I want to toast to you. I want to toast and thank you all for listening, for following with me along this crazy journey, for also possibly learning lessons along the way. And they could be hard ones, from, again, themes of self-love to maybe creating some boundaries for yourself, to maybe questioning something that you haven't questioned before, or really letting go of the things that you needed to be able to move forward as your best, happiest, most loving self. So cheers to love in all its forms, and Happy New Year.